Howdy. I wanted to get on here and talk about my most recent purchase. I bought a Quad Cortex. Um, I've wanted one. I've been going back and forth on if I should get a real amp, a modeler, because it's a Ibanez solid state amp, which it doesn't sound horrible, but it's not great. I've been playing music for a long time, and that's the best amp that I have, and mainly because a lot of what I do is on the computer. I do a lot of recording, just recording myself and recording my band and stuff like that. So I don't play out at all. Like I'm not a gigging guitar player, but I got to the point where I'm like, you know what, I kind of want an amp of some kind. So I was going back and forth between a tube amp. Do I want a clean amp or a dirty amp? Because I play all kinds of music. And so I really wasn't sure what amp I wanted to get. There's a Helix in my area that came up for I think like $1,200 used. Then I was looking at Kempers because I have a fair amount of experience with the Kemper because both of our guitar players in the band they both use Kempers, and whenever we record, I always use the tones and rig manager from the Kemper to record. And but I ended up going with this. Like I said, I've wanted one since they came out. I just really liked how they looked. I thought oops, phone's going off. I thought the way that the user interface and everything was easy to use, and just it seemed like something I could see myself using, because with my experience with the Kemper, without having rig manager, it was, to me, now I come from using plugins on the computer. Like I said, I've always recorded stuff since I can remember. I think I had the original Studio One like when it came out from Presonus, and like that's when I started recording stuff on the computer. So I come in from like the plugin world, to where if with an EQ you can just go click and drag and whatever. Maybe somebody that's coming from like an amp, from the amp world, where they're used to tube amps and stuff. Maybe the Kemper is a little bit easier to use for them. But for me, it was kind of like the user interface always seemed horrendous. So that's where this comes in. And basically, the main differences I've seen so far are, with the Kemper. It's been around for I think over 10 years. I think it's almost like 15 years old or something. It's been out for a while, and it still holds up perfectly. They came out with the floor model I think a year or two ago, and like it still does what it's supposed to. It's great. But there's a lot of videos of like clickbaity titles about, is this the Kemper killer, or one thing that sucks about the Quad Cortex, or don't buy it, and all that. So I kind of just wanted to talk about that. But yeah, the main difference, Kemper's been out for a while. So when you go in Rig Manager, there's tens of thousands of amp sounds. So and there's a lot of those amp sounds that you can buy. You can go buy packs from like Atrium Audio, or I think is it STL, they sell tone packs for the Kemper. So you can go get these professionally done tone packs, and they sound great. You also can go on Rig Manager and find some that somebody like me did in my bedroom, and they don't sound that great. So right now, with the Quad Cortex, now they have dropped the ball on some of their promises, because I believe they were supposed to launch this with like a desktop editor, like a Rig Manager type deal. I can say this, with how easy this is to use, you don't need a desktop editor. That's like the one thing I noticed right off the bat. There's like there's literally no use for it. As where with the Kemper, it's almost like you need it because it's so difficult to use, like the controls on the face of the amp. Um, but with that being said, because you can buy those professionally made Kemper packs, um, usually you click on it and you don't need to tweak it, anything at all. A lot of times we'll, like, even when we record, we'll click on it and we're like, yeah, it sounds great. We'll, like, EQ it to get it to fit in the mix, but like other than that, the tone would sound great for live use, whatever. So with this, it does have professionally made ones. This you use an app on your phone or I guess tablet, whatever, to download the sounds. It does come with sounds saved in it already, like the factory presets, and they sound great. But I have noticed that a lot of the sounds, probably because people are making them in their bedroom because there's nobody that like sells. Well, there are a few people that sell the tones for these, but a lot of them you just go in the app, click download, and it was probably some dude in his bedroom with a mic, and they sound decent from when you download it and play through it. It sounds fair. They take a little bit more tweaking than the Kemper to get them to sound good. Like the Kemper sounds great right out of the box. This takes a little bit of tweaking, which, because it's easy to tweak the tones, it that's not a problem. But I would probably, like, I don't know. There's just a lot of comparison between this and the Kemper, and I feel like they're for, like, they do kind of the same thing, but they're for two different types of people. Like, if you're the type of person that just wants a good amp tone, like the two guitar players in my band, like they're not tweakers. they they don't do drugs either. But no, they just they want to click on a tone and they want to play guitar. And it's like the Kemper's perfect for them because it allows you to do that. You can go on there, click a tone, you pull it up and start playing. It sounds great. I like tweaking stuff because I come from like recording background and stuff like that. I'm not really a gigging guitar player. So a lot of my time at home is spent like just goofing off, tweaking with the tones, messing with goofy effects and stuff. Because the effects on the Kemper are a little lackluster. I think you're better off if you use like reverbs and delays. They're not bad, but like it might sound better if you run like a pedal board along with it. As where the effects in here sound really good. It has some of the effects from like the neural plugins, like the multi-voicer and stuff like that from the Tim Henson one, and there's some like shimmer reverbs and all that sort of stuff that they just sound really good. So yeah, I think there's a lot of like unfair comparison between the two, but my main point, I guess, what I'm trying to get at is they're for two completely different like audiences, which I don't know if it's not really like marketed that way. I think obviously they're in like direct competition, but from my experience with the Kemper and this, the Kemper is great if you want to play guitar, you know. But if you're somebody that likes to sit in the studio and tinker with things and fool around, I think the Quad Cortex would be better for you. And I'm not trying to say that you can't, tweak stuff on the Kemper. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of people that have spent way more time with the Kemper than I have that could probably use the controls on the front of the Kemper the same way that I can use the controls on here. They can accomplish the same thing just as easily. But it's just more, to me, it was a bigger learning curve for the Kemper. But yeah, I think that's probably my main point. Like I said, I've seen a lot of videos where it's like, oh, watch this before you buy the Kemper or before you buy Quad Cortex and all that. And it's like, yeah, they're not Apple. Like, they're a smaller company. The rollout has been a little rough but they've also had to deal with COVID and all that stuff. So there were some hurdles for them to get over for sure. But they do consistently update it. There's, I think, like the 2.1 updates coming out soon. They just updated the app. They did like revamp the whole thing. And yeah, I think eventually they'll get to where they wanted to be at the release. But yeah, they did drop the ball on some of the promises, but things happen. Yeah. So let me know. I guess comment if you have experience with both. If you kind of feel the same way. Like I said, I've been using this for like 2 to 3 weeks, I think, and that was like my big takeaway from it. It's like the Kemper, you could click on a tone, sounds awesome. These, you have to tweak it a little bit, but the tweaking is easy, and I like doing that sort of stuff. So I also, real quick to end it, I captured 2 of my pedals. So I did this one. This is the Bill Murray signature pedal from Talon Electric, and then I did the plumes. Maybe I'll do a video where like I upload the recording I did, but I recorded just the pedal with no amp. Then I did a recording with the capture from the DSP, the neural. And then I did another one with the pedal and an amp on the Quad Cortex and the physical pedal, and then one with the pedal on the Quad Cortex and the amp on the Quad Cortex. And from my experience with this, I don't know, it tells you how to capture it when you pull it up on here. It tells you how to run the wires, the cables, and everything. And if you're going to use a mic, you flip the settings for a mic and all that stuff. So it tells you how to set it up. I think I did it correctly. To me, it sounded very close, but it does seem like the captures have a little bit more bass than the physical pedal itself. But once again, it's easy to like correct that once you have it in there. And it took maybe like 5 minutes. Like I put the settings where I like them on the pedal, and then click go, and it dropped it right on there. So but yeah, I think that's it. Like I said, if you kind of feel the same way or like feel different and want to argue with me or something, just put them in the comments. And yeah, I like to get other people's opinions on this stuff because to me it's interesting. I like new technology and guitar stuff. So yeah, like the video if you liked it, thumbs down if you don't, and yep, thanks.